In Celtics-Warriors Game 2 NBA Finals last night. Taking it to the third quarter, Warriors up 5. Steph working on Al Horford, drills it. Warriors now up 8, under 3 to play. Warriors up 11. Watch Curry right here, hitting it again, 14-point game. Next possession, you know Curry's feeling it when he hits it from way downtown. Nails it. And then speaking of nailing, Jordan Poole with the nail in the coffin, final seconds of the quarter. Just inside half court, he launches a prayer, and it goes. As time expires, 39 feet out, Chase Center into a frenzy. Steph, everybody loving it. The Warriors blow out the Celtics, 107-88. Game series tied 1-1 as Curry scores 29. So we bring in my man Jay Will to talk about this game. All right, so Steph was really the story here. Show us how Steph got it done in this game and what stood out to you.
Well, a couple of things that kind of was interesting to watch was that Al Horford a lot of times was in drop coverage, but still you're going to see, even on some plays, how they defended the situation. So as the play develops, Steph Curry has the ball here, you're going to see a screen coming, and now you're going to see Al once here. Here's drop coverage, right? Now watch, they're going to switch off this action, and you're actually going to see Grant Williams come up here and take Steph Curry off the screen, and they're going to rotate, which is going to leave a shooter open in the corner for Porter. But like these are kind of stuff that if you're in drop coverage, Steph Curry makes the right play and makes it simple. Watch, he comes off the screen, switch, he comes up from the weak side, really weird coverage, wide open three-point shot. Now, once again, in drop coverage, you're going to see the same situation, a high ball screen. Once again, Al Horford here in drop coverage, right? The whole play is coming up here, so you're going to see a lot of action, and then watch when he comes off, just a wide open, naked look, another screen, drop coverage, screens two people, shots like that. So people are saying, well, Steph Curry gets hot, but you're seeing the way that Boston defends him in a lot of that action, and now you're wondering on the back end, now you understand why Steph Curry is getting open looks. And by the way, when he gets going like that, those are momentum-like shots for the Golden State Warriors.
It's just what the Warriors seem to do every time. They make the right play all the time, and the Celtics are going to have to make some adjustments for Game 3. Now, I want to turn to this, because meanwhile, Draymond Green did his Draymond Green thing last night. I mean, he was a pest. He was everywhere. In many ways, I thought he was one of the most valuable players on the floor. Second quarter, already had one technical. He fouls Jaylen Brown. Then they get into it. Both players had to be separated. The refs didn't assess any technicals on him or Brown at that point. So Draymond stayed in the game. Take a listen to what he had to say afterwards.
This is the NBA Finals. And, you know, like I said, I wear my badge of honor. It's not that I'm saying they necessarily treat me different. I've earned differential treatment, and I enjoy that. I embrace that. But I'm never going to let someone stand over me. I'm a man first. My kids are in the stands. I don't play by like those type of games, and so whatever happens at that point happens.
See, he's saying, I don't let a grown man step over me. I get that. Brown said that Draymond's legs were on top of his head and that he tried to pull his pants down. I mean, you look at this, and I wonder, I mean, that's what he said. I wonder, what do you think the impact of Draymond's play right there should have been last night?
Well, I don't think he should have been ejected from this. And I was really impressed with Draymond because he was the instigator. I talked after Game 1. Somebody's got to figure out a way to muck things up for the Warriors. And Draymond just said, I'll muck everything up. And it started on the very first possession when he forced a jump ball on Al Horford at the top of the key. Draymond knows this. When he gets a technical, he's allowed to get away with a whole lot more for the rest of the game. He's basically towing that line over and over again for the rest of the game with the referees.
So daring the refs to do something.
Daring them.
So what I say is, when I came into the league, Ben Wallace was on USA Basketball with me. He's like, Jay, it's all about getting where you fit in. Like, what is my job description? I'm a rebounder. I'm a guy that sets hard screens. For Draymond Green, his job description is agitator. I mean, he did it with Grant Williams, got a technical foul. He did it with Jason Tatum, baited him into a foul. He did it with Marcus Smart. He did it with Jaylen Brown, just leaving his leg hanging on there, getting him to react. When you're talking about Draymond Green in your huddle during timeouts, more so than you're talking about the game plan, you're winning.
So, CJ, when you play against Draymond and he's in this mindset, this pest, I see you smiling. When he's in that pest mindset, what is it like to play against him?
I love it. I love it. It reminds me of my childhood playing in the parks and things of that nature. But I think the referees understand who Dre is as a person. They understand his value to the Warriors. They understand his value to the playoff atmosphere in general. And I always say the best refs know how to monitor the game, not control it. And in the playoffs, you don't want them controlling the outcome of games. They had the understanding of regular season, it's probably a technical. In the playoffs, facing elimination essentially, Golden State goes down 0-2. There's real problems in the Bay Area. And I think they handled that situation accordingly and properly, but Dre's got to be careful because if he puts himself in that position in the Boston Garden, things might be different, especially when the fans start booing.
See, I find that so interesting because it's almost as if he's able to create a double standard for himself while simultaneously calling out the fact that people treat him on a double standard. But for me, I look at this and I say, first of all, is that even fair? Because nobody on the Celtics can do that.
No, he's one of one, and he's CJ brought up the reputation. I think the reputation is important, and referees talk before every game. All right, these two guys have a history together. This guy is going to talk to us. This guy's going to react to us. We have to be measured in everything we do, and I really don't have a problem with the refs looking at this case by case on an individual basis rather than just having some standard protocol. You have to at least acknowledge the moment and how important Game 2 of the finals is. And the only thing that he really did to me on that play was the extra sort of leg movement
on his head.
to gently lay both legs on his head and shoulder. That was the extra. That was the extra.
You know what that does, man? That sets a tone for how he expects his team to play in a game of that magnitude. And it almost felt like you didn't see Boston match that. You saw them get a little bit lost into that exchange instead of matching that energy.
Okay, so CJ, are the Celtics in trouble if Draymond continues to play like that and take advantage of this, let's call it, system?
Or are the Celtics in trouble?
I don't think the Celtics are in trouble. They did what they were supposed to do. They went in and stole Game 1. No idea how they won that game down 14 going into fourth quarter. They're good. They only had to win once on the road. And to be honest with you, the entire playoffs, they've been better on the road than they have been at home. So I think they have to change their mindset. I don't know if it's sleeping in your own bed. I don't know if it's the comfort of driving your car to work or whatever the case may be for them. But they got to tighten up at home because they really have a chance to get rid of these Warriors.
But I'm saying even in the pest mode, though, Draymond in this key pest agitator mode, they don't have anybody like that.
Smart.
That can get. So I'm saying, does that put the Celtics in a tough spot?
Smart is physical. Okay. Defensive player of the year. He's going to get into him. He's the one that's going to respond. Obviously, you got Grant Williams, got those guys. But Tatum and Brown, they got to keep their cool. They're too valuable to the franchise to be involved in the riffraff. But Smart's the one who's going to pick it up, especially considering how he was in foul trouble in Game 2, and he didn't really play like his normal self.
JJ, I'm curious. What supporting cast do you think will come through when it's all said and done? Because sometimes I watch Golden State, I'm like, and I look at Boston, even though they didn't play well last night, I feel like the athleticism and how they play gives them an edge when it's all said and done with that supporting cast.
You're talking about guys like Marcus Smart and Derek White, Robert Williams, Al Horford. Yeah, I think ultimately the Celtics win the series, and I do think it's going to rest on that supporting cast. And defensively, they're giving Klay Thompson problems. Jordan Poole really struggled in Game 1, and even though he had a big third quarter last night, he didn't have a great shooting night. Ultimately, and by the way, those guys that I just mentioned for the Celtics, they were awful last night. I think they combined for like 16 points. They did not have a good game. You mentioned Marcus Smart being in foul trouble, 1 for 6 last night. Ultimately, it's going to be the supporting cast, I do believe, that's going to decide this series. I think the Boston has the advantage there.
2 points for Smart, 2 points for Horford. That cannot continue if they're going to win this series. So, Jay, who do you think has control of this series at this point?
I mean, I would agree with JJ. I have to get the slight edge going back to Boston, even though they haven't played well at home. Klay Thompson, being 4 of 19 last night. Look, I've always said this about Klay. Like, I think Klay coming back off his injuries has been phenomenal, right? But there still feels like there is a little bit of a pop or a burst that I don't see that was the old Klay. And I think the younger wings of Boston kind of bring that out, and they showcase that. They're going to need him to be significant, but I'd probably get a slight edge to Boston now going back home.
Okay, the Warriors are hearing that. I'm sure Draymond is hearing that and saying, okay, you give them that edge. We'll see what happens in Game 3.
I'm not playing. He don't even take my motivation.